and she could hardly function. I mean, it was really hard for her to do anything. The prognosis was
Wow.
really terrible, and she had 3 kids, so she was just it rocked her world. So we did one session, and after that session, she went back to her specialist because she had to go once a month, and they scanned her and said that's impossible. It's completely impossible. It's completely healed. We don't have any explanation for this. And
So thank you so much for joining me again, Sarah Cosme. And this series is on more on the healing side of things, emotional and miraculous physical healings. And I know that you've got a lot of stories, and there's a couple of them actually on the front page of the QHHT official website, testimonies of the healings that you've helped them receive. And because it's all them that's doing it, but they very much need a trusted facilitator and an experienced facilitator, and you're one of the best in the world. So I'm very, very grateful for your time.
thanks, John. And you're one of the best too. And I'm just really honored and blessed to do this work, really, because it's the client who ultimately heals themselves. But one of the people on the website, her healing was so amazing because she lives close to me. She had no idea about Dolores Cannon or past life regression or anything like that. She was just a teacher at the school where my kids go to school. And we used to stay after school and watch our kids play in the playground every day after school. And I never brought up anything about past lives or spirituality or anything like that, just out of respect. I normally just let people come to me. Normally they know what I do, and if they need me, they just come to me. So I never really bring up the, spirituality or anything like that. But I was already working. I had my own practice and I'd already been doing QHHT for a few years. And I thought, well, I'd like to get somebody that I could use as a subject to make a video submission because I was going to take the level 3 class and I needed somebody that wasn't going to pay me, just somebody I knew that I could just use them. And so I was really hesitant to ask her. I didn't know what she was going to think if I asked her, to be on video and to do this past life regression thing. And when I asked her, I thought she was going to look at me like with 2 heads, like, what do you want to do? Past life regression? What? But instead she said, oh my gosh, really? That's what you do? I've been looking for something like this because she didn't tell anyone, she didn't tell anyone around that area that she had this brain condition. It was called Tumour cerebri, and the brain fluid was swelling her brain. So she was working really closely with the specialist at the University of Miami, and she was put on this really heavy duty medication. The brain swelling caused like a lack of vision in one eye, severe headaches, and she could hardly function. I mean, it was really hard for her to do anything. The prognosis was
Wow.
really terrible, and she had 3 kids, so she was just it rocked her world. And so I told her what I did, and I said, you can heal yourself in these sessions. And she was a little skeptical, but she would try anything basically
Mm.
because really the only hope they gave her was that she could stay on these pharmaceuticals. And they were so heavy duty. She felt like she wasn't getting better at all. And she'd been on them, I guess, about a year when she started doing this with me. So we did one session, and after that session, she went back to her specialist because she had to go once a month, and they scanned her and said that's impossible. It's completely impossible. It's completely healed. We don't have any explanation for this. And she, right after the day after her session, she felt so good she stopped taking her medication. And you can see her testimony on the website. um, she completely healed. And not only that, but she was told that she would not be able to have another baby. She got pregnant. She had another healthy baby. Um, But what's even more
Wow.
fascinating about the story is that when we did the session, she realized that in her past life, she had tried to share this information that she was carrying for thousands of years. And she was called crazy. She tried to spread this information because that was her purpose in that lifetime. And eventually, because everyone considered her crazy, she was lobotomized and she killed herself. She jumped off a bridge. This is her next life where she's trying once again to share this information. And the information that's so important for her to share is what happened to Lemuria and Atlantis. So she was a princess in Lemuria, and she was pretty much one of the rulers there. And she was taken prisoner by the Atlanteans, was imprisoned for 60 years in their jails, and eventually responsible for ending that civilization. And so it took us about 2 years. We uncovered all this information that's so valuable to understand. And now we're both sharing it. I wrote my book and she wrote hers. But another really crazy thing is that as I was writing my book, at first I thought this was a coincidence. I started getting tons of clients that were afraid of the water, had trouble with their eyesight, and they would all recount the same lifetimes. And I thought at first, wait a minute, what's going on here? Finally, I learned that where I live is the closest point to where this one facility was in Atlantis. As I always thought,
Wow.
I know Atlantis was really close to Bermuda, but I live in the Florida Keys. All these people needed to come here to heal that past life trauma. And so many of us, I was going to say all, but not all of us, so many of us are here in this lifetime to release that past life trauma, to move forward into the next thing. But that's why this information in our books is so important, because it can instantly bring about that healing. You don't even really have to get your own, although of course it's really great, but you can just read the words. And if it triggers that memory, you can heal in your own time, basically, triggers that awareness. So that's
Wow. How amazing.
really interesting thing was as we were pulling this information, and not just from her, from my other clients that were coming to me, it was like paralleling what's going on now. And at first I thought, wait a minute, that's too close to what's happening now. Then the next client would come and say the same things, and then the next, and I was like, are we really? Is our society that similar to what happened back then? And it is. And so
Mm.
that's another reason why I think this information is so important, because when you really understand what happened in the past, it almost like frees you so that you just shake off the oppression. It's like there's no one's going to control me. I already know, you just loosen the chains. You understand more going into the future when you understand the past, I feel like.
Definitely. That sounds exactly what Dolores Cannon wrote in all her books. It was just
I
client
feel her.
after client after client,
Yeah.
just saying the same story and just putting all the pieces together.
I'm not a psychic
Wow.
medium, or, I don't know for sure, but I've been told that I'm sure she's helping me. I mean, and
Sounds like it.
I'm sure she helps all her practitioners, since this is her work. And I'm sure she wants to get this information out as much as we all do. But it
Totally.
was so fascinating.
That's amazing. So you've just written your book, and
Um,
I believe it's just been published
it's
now.
it's just been published. It's called A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis. And my client's book, I shouldn't call her my client, my friend, my friend's book,
Yeah.
who fully healed, her book is called A Child of the Universe, or Child of the Universe. And that's on Amazon
Wow.
as well. So they're both on Amazon.
Congratulations. So
Thank
just say
you.
those names again,
A
the names of the
hypnotist,
books.
a hypnotist's journey to Atlantis, and Child of the Universe by J.L.F. Sullivan for hers, and mine, A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis by me.
Wow, congratulations. And so that was a few years in the
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
of sessions. Yeah.
It took about 2 years because we couldn't get all the information all at once. It was like
No.
little by little. It just got more and more. And I was planning on writing a book at all. I thought she was going to write the book. And then when I started getting so many clients saying the same thing, I realized how important this information was. And I realized the importance for me to share it. So that's why I wrote this book, so that everybody
So
can
so
get this
what's
information.
so what's the book about? What's your book about?
My book is a bunch of different sessions, basically. It's not, it's basically not written by me, but it's kind of like a Dolores Cannon book, in that it's a lot of sessions that just explains exactly what happened and the history of and our true origins, where we really, really come from. It starts there, where we came from, why we're here, what we're doing here, and what we plan to do, and what happened in Atlantis and Lemuria, basically. Our history, our
Wow,
true,
amazing.
well, who we really are. Yeah.
That's right. And if anybody feels like they've got any connections with Atlantis or Lemuria, you and they're luckily enough living in the States, you would definitely be the person that they could relate to.
I never
Ah,
chose I didn't know that much about Atlantis or Lemuria before this at all.
no.
I heard stories, but I didn't really know much about it before.
Mm. That's just the way that your journey has panned out.
Yeah. Yeah. So funny how things happen, isn't it?
It is. It is,
Yeah.
yes. Wow, that's amazing. So just tell me, with your client or your friend's brain tumor,
Yeah.
so that's, mm, I guess the doctors would just put that down as an unknown or a miracle or something like that. So just tell me what was can you remember what the process was and her actually healing it?
Right. Well, where she got the pseudotumor cerebri, or the tumor that was filled with water, was the same place where she was lobotomized. And her higher self said that she got that tumor in this lifetime to get her to me. It was all planned, basically, so that she would come for the session. It was going to happen no matter what we did. I mean, we literally spent every day together at the school. I never said anything for like 2 years, maybe longer. Eventually, I asked her, but it was to get her to get the session. And once she got all the information, or once she got that information that this was her purpose, to spread this information that she got, it healed instantly. There was no need for it anymore.
Wow. And it just dissolved basically.
Instantly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because that was the message. That was the only reason she needed it. You know, it's so interesting. This past week, I had a woman that was bedridden for almost 3 years, and she was a really young woman. I think she was in her early 20s. She had Lyme disease, and
Mm.
she had tried all different types of things. She had gone to a specialist and everything like that, and tried supplements, and nothing was working. It was chronic Lyme, and she couldn't do anything. She had to quit her job, which um, she didn't really like her job, but she had this high, fast-paced job. Anyway, her higher self said that they gave her the Lyme disease to get her to quit her job and to focus inwards. So she had 3 years of focusing inwards, and she learned to do deep meditation. She learned her, you know, she was learning her purpose, but her purpose was not to do that other job. And she needed those 3 years of being quiet, being away from people. I thought that was really interesting. And she was supposed to do share the information that she was supposed to bring to the world through the YouTube channel that she was wanting to start, but she didn't have the energy. And they said they would release it for her. So this was last week. So I don't know for sure. She immediately felt better after they said they were healing it for her. And she felt better after the session. But I only know for sure if people email me. But she seemed pretty happy at the time and felt different.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting that she needed those 3 years. She just wasn't really getting the message, I guess, apparently, according to her higher self. So they really, they wanted to make sure that she would not go back to that job, that she would, be quiet and
just completely close that chapter in her life.
Also to have empathy for people that were sick, because she was, young, and that wasn't, her focus at all. It was different. But after she had that experience, she had so much empathy and really understood when people were sick. I think her higher self said that she was supposed to learn how to have empathy for people that were sick that didn't look sick, because that's what she had basically.
Yes.
It's really interesting. To tell you another amazing session. I just got an email from a client that I had about 3 weeks ago, and she just emailed me to tell me the different things she healed. She had certain issues, but they were easily healed in her session. But what was amazing was she had this friend who was in a wheelchair because he got in a car accident. So he was bound to a wheelchair. And she asked her higher self if they could heal him. And they said yes. And they were doing some work on him during her session. And she showed me the text. I can send them to you. The next day he got up. He didn't need the wheelchair anymore. Nobody understood what could have possibly happened. Nobody. It was completely miraculous. He literally walks now. No, that doesn't make any sense. It's just amazing.
That's something that the logical brain just can't work out. Doctors won't be able to work out. Nobody will be able to work it out. He didn't even know about the session. Wow, that's amazing.
Isn't it?
Incredible.
Yeah. I'll have to show you the text messages. I mean, his family just couldn't even believe it.
Just like that.
Yeah. So so if our higher selves can do that.
That was part of the level 2 training. That was the surrogate healing for people's children and loved ones.
Right.
Which fascinated me. Yes. Yeah. You've even done one on your son.
Yeah, actually both sons.
Both sons.
Yeah.
So tell me that story.
Well, my youngest, a 7-year-old, he was like 6 at the time. I don't know how he got these, but he had warts on his arm. And I took a picture of the before and after. He had warts like right here. And I used my mom for that one. And it was literally the next day. They were all gone. Just gone.
Just disappeared.
Yeah. It's interesting because sometimes, I mean, it's almost like they don't know the session is going on. So it was just a matter of, I just asked the higher self if they could heal that, and they did. It's still hard for me to wrap my brain around it.
It's one of those things, because I always explain it to skeptics and people that are really analytical, that it's a bit like Wi-Fi. I can't understand how I'm talking to Sarah now. She's on the screen here, and she's in the United States, which is last night. So to me, that's time travel.
Right.
Even though you're in the States, but you're on my screen. But there is nothing tangible. I can't see a cord. I can't feel anything that's binding us together. So to me, that must be energy. There's some
Right.
form of energy going up to a satellite and it's bringing it back down, but I can't see it. I can't work it out, but it's not up for me to work it out. I just accept it and just allow it, and I'm grateful for it. That's how I perceive the ethera and people's higher selves and the collective consciousness. It works in the same manner. That's my belief anyway.
I love the way you put that. It's a great description of it. It's very helpful to think of it like that.
It's interesting, and I can't understand how you would get the clients coming in saying the same things all the time, over and over, and those clients would have no idea about each other's lives,
Right.
no idea at all.
Oh my gosh, there was one client that I had that was driving down the 7 Mile Bridge. There's a lot of bridges to get to where I live, and she all of a sudden was overcome with this emotion, and she pulled over and she called one of her friends to make her feel better. And she said, maybe you should get a QHHT session. This is her friend from somewhere up north. And my client, well, she wasn't my client at the time. She said, where do I go to look for somebody like that? And she looked it up and she found my name and she called me. Well, normally I'm booked about like a month in advance, sometimes maybe more, depends. And that same day someone canceled. So I said, I have an opening right now. I mean, if you want to come. And she said, oh my gosh, I'm so close to your house. Sure. So she came and she was one of the people. Her higher self said she had to come to this specific place, and that if she could go to the ocean, they said that it will help to release this trauma. It will renew her and recharge her, is what they said. That's so interesting. Yeah.
Just meant to be.
Yeah. No coincidences.
It's funny as a professional practitioner that all these healings happen and it becomes so normal to us. It just becomes part of our life. And then when you get these miracle ones, it's, oh yeah, that's what happened. This lady, she had a brain tumor and it shrunk down to nothing.
Right. It does. You're right. It becomes so normal. It's like, oh yeah, well, that person had, liver cancer and they're fine. That's just another Tuesday,
Yeah.
But it's a miracle. It really is. I think people are slowly learning that it's not a death sentence when something happens to their body or their mind, that it's just an opportunity. And I think it's so great that we're moving in that direction. Just an opportunity to listen to ourselves and to find out what's really going on with ourselves.
Definitely. That's what I say to people. I say, the body, if you've got anything going on in your body cannot lie to you.
Right.
It can't deceive you. It's the truth. Something is going on. So we have to get an understanding of what's going on in the body, what's causing it, and why.
Right.
Why is it doing that?
Yeah.
And just let their higher selves talk about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Even I was talking to Sarah just before about you healing yourself. So just tell people that story, because that was fascinating.
Okay. So I was on vacation in July and I was just enjoying myself, and I noticed that I started to get these canker sores inside my mouth, and I've gotten them before, and when I have, it was really, really painful. I think sometimes what triggers it is like too much vitamin C. That's what I've heard. But for my case, what it was, well, first of all, I'll tell you what I did. So I asked myself what was causing these mouth canker sores. And the first thought that popped into my mind was negative self-talk. And because I was on vacation, I was talking really badly about myself, just about, enjoying my vacation, eating too much chocolate, and just being down on myself, just in any way I was. Um, and so I asked myself, well, what do I need to do about this? And the first thought was send love throughout my body. So I did that. And then I asked, is there anything else I need to understand about this? And the thought was just how important my thoughts towards myself are, to be kind to myself, because negative thoughts towards myself have such an impact. And so I said, okay, I understand this. Is there anything else I need to understand? And the answer was no. I said, okay, anything else I need to do? And the answer was no. And so because I got the message, so then I asked, well, can you heal this now? And I heard a yes. And then I felt they were, well, it was like two on here and two on this side, inside my mouth. They disappeared like inside my cheeks almost. I mean, I felt it like receding. I don't know. I guess if you've done a QHHT session and you've had a healing experience, it felt like that, like just a magical. It was so cool because I got to really experience what that feels like, and it was so neat. And then I was like trying to show everybody, but like, oh my gosh. Like we couldn't see them before, but it was really amazing. Really, it's so amazing. I mean, it's that was my message.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any healing
on myself? Yes. In my last session that I had with Jovi Wan, I was lucky enough to have a session with her. I felt like everything was fine in here, but she still asked for just to go over the body, and I saw in my lungs just a whole lot of like black fog and gunk, and I was just thinking to myself, oh, that's not good. I don't want that. What is that? And I just remember taking in this big deep breath, and it all just swirling up in my lungs, and I just went and just blew it all out. And what it was just from my clients' energies, because I do this professionally. I'm very good at clearing myself. I don't take on anybody's stuff, but it was still just a little bit of energy just coming in, and I was just sucking it in, and it was just getting stored and just churning. So it's so important just to have a good look through yourself and just be really, really honest with yourself. And just if you're feeling anything, or even if you're not aware, just go in your mind's eye and just have a look and just clear yourself. It was a really important lesson for me to learn, because I had no idea.
Wow. I like what you said too about being really honest with yourself, because that's so key.
It's key, yeah. If you want any healing, that's my biggest advice, is just find somewhere quiet where you can be by yourself. Nobody's going to judge you, and just be honest with yourself. There are so many times when I get people coming in with cancer and stuff like that. And a good example is I had a 80-year-old woman. She came in with left breast cancer. So usually breast cancer's got to do with something with nurturing or something like that. And the doctors were treating the symptoms, and it wasn't going away. But when we really got down to being honest, because I very much create a little bubble in the office here, and I certainly don't judge people. I just want people to open up and be honest. And it all started 18 months before, when her daughter died.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So it was really stemmed from a broken heart.
Right.
And because of her upbringing, she couldn't express it. She had to be strong, and her whole life she had to be strong. She wasn't even allowed to cry about it.
Wow.
So she just had to stuff it and stuff it and stuff it. And because it was her baby, that
Right.
was the nurturing. That was the nurturing part. So it just festered and it grew and it grew and it was just churning and churning and churning.
Wow.
Mm. It was amazing. Yeah. Just by even talking about it and just by being honest really helps. Really
Wow.
helps.
So amazing.
Mm.
This work really is so amazing. It's
It's
such an
amazing.
honor
Yeah.
to help people like that.
It is. There was two reasons that really drew me to Dolores Cannon and Qhht. The first one was because I'm a professional hypnotherapist. The first one was we don't lead anybody into any scene. We don't guide them anywhere. We just completely leave it up to their higher self to show them in their imagination whatever they need to show them. But the second one was the healing.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
incredible. I mean, it's amazing, just especially when people try so many different other avenues to try to find healing
Yeah.
and they just get one QHHT session and that's
What?
all they
Yeah.
really needed.
That's all they. That's all they needed. Yeah.
Right,
And I'm finding that a lot of people are getting, the clients that are coming in and seeing me are getting a little bit annoyed with the doctors
right,
because they're just giving them pill and then that doesn't work. So then they give them another pill and that doesn't work. And then they give them another pill. Whereas
right.
the client just wants answers. They want to
Yeah.
know what's causing it and what do I need to do to stop it.
Mhm.
Whereas a pill's not going to give you those answers. It
No,
might numb it at best.
sometimes
So
yeah. But what they really need is to find out what's going on with themselves.
what's really going on with yourself?
Mhm.
Because your body won't lie. Your body is such a miraculous machine.
And it wants to be heard. It's not like it's trying to be hidden. The body's so literal in its
It
messages.
is. It is so little. It can't lie to you. That's
Right.
why. That's why I love this stuff. Absolutely love it. Yeah. And the healings are just. Oh, you just get so many.
I
Yep.
know.
There's a lot of people with back problems and knee problems, all
Right.
sorts of stuff.
I know. It's incredible.
Organ problems. Organ problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Incredible. Any special
Oh,
sessions that you had that where there was
um,
healing?
actually, I just posted a QHHT healing on my YouTube channel, and it's actually the segment of the actual session itself of the
Right.
healing part. And she came in because the doctors told her that she's starting to get liver damage and she was having problems with her heart. And she knew the cause. That was because the trigger was a few years ago. She actually went home. It was her and her partner had a severe heart attack, like severe. And that trauma, that shock, just sent her whole body into fight or flight.
Wow.
And in the session, it actually explains what happens in the body into all the cells. It was a really fascinating session.
Wow.
But ever since then, every time she heard an ambulance or anything like that, it just triggered off the
Oh,
DNA
wow.
memory. So that's why people, when they have a crash or they hear something like that, it's a trigger, and the body just goes into fight or flight.
Yeah.
Whereas her, because he actually turned out he can't talk, he can't walk, he's got no
Oh,
quality of life,
wow.
he's got nothing. So the dream that she had was shattered, absolutely shattered. So the way that she coped with it was by making herself busy, just busy, 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 busy. So she had never really given herself time to grieve over it. She still had this hope that he was going to be okay and that things were going to work out. But that's just not the way that it's going to play out.
Wow.
So in the session, the whole session, and then we actually talked to the liver.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the liver was angry. The liver was angry because that's really the chief of all the other organs. And even the doctors know that the liver controls the thyroid, it controls the hormones. The liver is amazing because it's the only organ that can fully rejuvenate itself. It's an
That's
amazing
incredible.
organ. Yeah, but so in her session, we were actually talking to the liver, and the liver wasn't very happy with her.
What did the liver
She,
say?
it was angry because it was doing its job, but it felt like it was doing too much.
Oh, I
It
see.
was it was just because it was in fight or flight mode all the time. It was just it was just burning. It was just burning too much, and that's what was causing the disease in it, because she was actually killing it.
Right.
It's not the liver's fault. It was her not dealing with the emotions behind it. That's what was
Wow.
causing the liver problems. And then we went into the heart and we started talking about the heart. And the heart was actually, when she saw it, she said the heart was actually in the corner like this.
Oh, wow. Oh
Just
my
didn't want
God.
to just didn't want to deal with the situation. It was sad. It was
Oh.
broken. Yeah. And then because that wasn't the heart's fault, so then we were talking to the heart and getting the heart story. And then there was other pieces of the heart that came in and just nourished it and loved it and told it
Oh.
it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Oh.
Yeah. And then the heart sort of just popped its head up, and because it was being heard,
Oh, so beautiful.
it wasn't getting stuffed and suppressed. We were actually getting the heart's story, and it was broken. It was just,
Wow.
it was so powerful.
That is so
And then
powerful.
it was so powerful, yeah. And then it was finding its sovereignty, reminding of its sovereignty and how strong it actually is. And it's okay to feel the emotion. It's perfectly okay to feel that emotion, but it needs to be expressed. It
Wow.
can't get stuffed in there. It just can't. It just needs to be heard.
Oh.
And then we went through and we checked every single cell, yeah, of the DNA, and it was amazing. It basically said it was charging up, like there was too much electricity going in it, and they were blowing like fuses in a light bulb. If there's too much electricity in a light bulb, they just blow it, couldn't handle it. And that's what was going on in her body,
Wow.
because she was just such in fight or flight, because she was being so busy in her life,
Right.
trying to avoid the emotion instead of just feeling it.
Wow. That's incredible. Wow. That's an amazing
It was
session and story.
amazing. Yeah,
Wow.
it's on my YouTube channel. Yeah,
That's so cool.
QHHT Healing. Yeah, it's the actual session. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to check it out. That's
Oh,
awesome.
it was so cool. Yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, it's just amazing what people's higher selves or subconscious knows, because the subconscious knows what's going on. It's the analytical mind that doesn't want to accept it.
Right. Right.
Don't stuff emotions down,
Right.
and because it'll cause lots and lots and lots of problems.
Yeah.
Lots
You
of
gotta let them
problems.
out. Listen to them, feel them, and then let them go.
Yeah. Tell you, I had this other client come in, and he was actually so stressed out. He was literally killing himself through work. The, he just couldn't handle his job. He'd been in it for so long, and it was literally killing himself. He knew that he was on his way to getting a heart attack. And I said to him, I said, well, what's the option then? And he said, well, I could easily leave my job, easily, and go and because he's been offered other jobs, but they're in his eyes, they're lower class jobs. And then what would people think of him?
Oh,
I said to him, so you would rather kill yourself
right.
than let your ego just accept another job that's a lot more cruisier. And I said, what price are you willing to pay for your life?
Right.
And then I said to him, just detach yourself and just imagine if this was a loved one that had this problem, what would you tell them? And he'd say, if that was my wife, I'd tell her to leave that job. It's not worth it. And this is what I find. People are so good at giving advice,
Right.
but they don't take it on themselves.
Right.
And I always say, when you're giving advice to somebody and it's exactly the right thing at exactly the right time, that's your higher self coming out your mouth.
Yes.
That message is for them, but it's also for you.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your own advice.
Right.
And then take the steps, because your life will be so much better.
Yes.
And so much easier.
Yes, definitely. It is so interesting how the higher self will flow through you when you're giving somebody else advice. And it's perfect advice for yourself. It's always amazing how that happens. And that's a good way to get used to how your higher self talks too. I mean, it just flows through with this amazing wisdom for somebody else.
Mm.
Yes.
And we're both so grateful for doing this as a professional career. Yeah.
Yeah. Feel so blessed.
That's because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
And you too.
So just tell me about your amazing book again.
Oh, okay. Well, it's available on Amazon, but pretty soon it will be available in Kindle version as well. Right now it's just paperback today, but check it out. See what you think.
What's it called?
A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis. And my friend's book is Child of the Universe.
And I'll put the link on down below in the comment section, so people can just click on the link.
Thanks so much, John. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Pleasure. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you.
I'm so grateful
so
to you
much.
too. Thank you.
And if people want to get hold of you, what's the best way to get hold of you?
They can go to my website. It's www.theholistichehypnotist.com. Theholistichehypnotist.com.
Yes. And if you're in the Florida Keys region and you feel like you want a QHHT session with one of the best in the world,
Thanks.
or if you feel like you have some Atlantis connection, go and have a session with Sarah. It'll be amazing.
Thanks, John.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.